The US government has issued sanctions against 4 Sudanese companies and several individuals for fueling the war between rival military forces. It said the sanctions would cut off key financial flows to the army and the rapid support forces, who get a lot of their funding from the country's gold mines. It comes as rockets hit a market in the capital Khartoum, killing 18 people and injuring a further 100. Well, I'm joined now by BBC Africa's Kaukedan Yibatal, who's in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. Kaukedan, thank you so much for joining us. I'm interested in these sanctions because Sudan's been sanctioned by the US previously. Is there a chance that these entities might not have any links and therefore any impact of these sanctions might be relatively small, if not at all?
Yes, that's the concern right now, because Sudan, as you said, have been sanctioned for decades, and these armed groups, the army as well as the paramilitary group, and their leaders have managed to survive these sanctions and even enrich themselves and become powerful. So it's unclear how much impact that this could have on their rich gains and on their influence. But the hope is that now the international community can start to directly try to impact them and to sanction them. So at least this is the beginning. But as you said, there are concerns that this might not be enough to end the violence and the bloodshed in Sudan.
As you're speaking, we're showing our viewers pictures there from some of the fighting on Thursday. Heavy plumes of smoke. We talk about that missile strike that hit that market, killing 18, more than 100 injured. The continued ceasefire violations. What is the latest on the ground?
Yes, this incident that happened in Khartoum in a market is the single deadliest incident that has claimed, as you said, 18 civilians who appear to have gathered in this market when a projectile hit where they gathered, and 106 people have been have sustained wounds as well. And one of the hospitals operating in Khartoum, one of the few hospitals operating in Khartoum, said that they're overwhelmed. And with the army announcing that they are suspending their participation in the US and Saudi-led talks in Jeddah. There are concerns that this violence could go even more intense. And in addition to Khartoum, over the Nile in its twin city in Omdurman, there are reported clashes and fighting there, as well as in the western part of the country in Darfur. We're seeing that this violence has triggered tribal clashes, and then with further concerns that it could further destabilize the whole Sahel region, because this is a really huge area which is heavily militarized, as well as with a history of tribal violence.
So are we seeing then a spread of this already from beyond conflict between the RSF and the army into a wider destabilization, not just the country but the region then?
Yeah, that's definitely the truth, because we're already seeing that Sudan's neighbors are being impacted because of this huge influx of refugees crossing their borders, fleeing the violence. But that's not the only concern, because we are also hearing reports that armed groups might be crossing borders to be involved into Sudan because they're attracted by monetary gains in this conflict.
We've also heard reports of food aid being looted, and we've previously reported of humanitarian agencies struggling to get aid into the country. What is the status of the humanitarian response at the moment?
Yes, this is not the first time that humanitarian agencies have been on the receiving end of attacks, and now we heard that the World Food Programme has its aid ransacked and looted, and this is going to be impacting that its efforts to deliver aid to millions that are trapped in Sudan right now. Even before the beginning of this conflict, a large portion of the Sudanese population were dependent on aid, because the country's economy was crippled due to all the sanctions that it has received and all the leadership crisis that it had, and now in this active fighting where millions are in desperate need of aid, we're hearing reports that aid agencies, not only the World Food Programme but others, have been looted, or humanitarian workers were attacked. Some of them were even killed. So this is going to be a really bad news for the Sudanese civilian trapped in this fighting.
Kalkadang Yibatel joining us from Addis Ababa. Thank you.